Well, good evening, folks. For those of you who are tuning in later, the angle is going to look different, and if I'm moving around a lot on the camera, it's because we're doing something different tonight. So, it's fun and casual, and we're having fun. Welcome to worship on this day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. As we are gathering here this evening, we're going to do all of our normal announcements. Most of you are probably aware of what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you, check out your bulletin, look at your date. Make sure you have March 8th, 2023. Does anybody have the wrong one? Okay, good. We are now 2 for 2 of no one having a runaway bulletin, and that is a good thing. That is an exciting thing. We like that. You should also have your copy of Holden Evening Prayer. That will be our music that we will share together as we move through our service. And when the service is done and we are on our way out, please make sure that you leave your copy of Holden back in the box. And you don't take it with you like a certain someone who will remain nameless, even though I'm looking right at them, who admitted to me she stole it last week. She took it home, but she brought it back, so we'll have some grace. It's right there. We're good. Hold on to Holden. Wow, it's going to be a fun one tonight. I want to say thank you to the ladies who provided supper tonight. That was a wonderful, wonderful food. Tasted really, really great, and we're grateful for that. Now, our format, everything that we did, if you were here last week, it's all going to look the same, other than we're going to stand in some different places tonight, so we will go along with that. We are going to start off with Holden. I'm going to actually attempt to start the first song without playing the note. So you might want to plug your ears in case I hit a horrible, horrible note, but we're going to see if I can do it without walking 10 feet and playing a note on the piano. So we will join together beginning on page 2 of Holden Evening Prayer. Jesus Christ, you are the light of the world, the light no darkness can overcome. Stay with us now, for it is evening, and the day is almost over. Let your light scatter the darkness, and shine within your people here. Joyous light of heavenly glory, loving glow of God's own face, you who sing creation's story, shine on every land and race. Now as evening falls around us, we shall raise our songs to you. God of daybreak, God of shadows, come and light our hearts anew. In the stars that grace the darkness, in the blazing sun of dawn, in the light of peace and wisdom, we can hear your quiet song. Love that fills the night with wonder, love that warms the weary soul, love that bursts all chains asunder, set us free and make us whole. You who made the heaven's splendor, every dancing star of night, make us shine with gentle justice. Let us each reflect your light. Mighty God of all creation, gentle Christ who lights our way, loving Spirit of salvation, lead us on to endless day. May God be with you all, and also with you. Let us sing our thanks to God. It is right to give God thanks and praise. Blessed are you, Creator of the universe. From old you have led your people by night and day. May the light of your Christ make our darkness bright. For your word and your presence are the light of our pathways, and you are the light and life of all creation. Amen. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. O God, I call to you. Come to me now. Oh, hear my voice when I cry to you. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. Keep watch within me, God. Deep in my heart may the light of your love be burning bright. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. All praise to the God of all, Creator of life. All praise be to Christ and the Spirit of love. Let my prayer rise up like incense before you, the lifting up of my hands as an offering to you. We continue now with our responsive reading from Psalm 25, as printed there in your bulletin. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Do not let those who wait for you be put to shame. Let them be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all day long. Be mindful of your mercy, O Lord, and of your steadfast love, for they have been from of old. Do not remember the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me. All the paths of the Lord are steadfast love and faithfulness for those who keep the Lord's covenant and decrees. We continue. Sorry, I cut you off. My bad. We will continue now with the Magnificat, beginning there on page 8. An angel went from God to a town called Nazareth to a woman whose name was Mary. The angel said to her, "Rejoice, O highly favored, for God is with you. You shall bear a child, and his name shall be Jesus, the chosen one of God Most High. And Mary said, I am the servant of my God. I live to do your will. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Great and mighty are you, O Holy One. Strong is your kindness evermore. How you favor the weak and lowly one, humbling the proud of heart. You have cast the mighty down from their thrones and uplifted the humble of heart. You have filled the hungry with wondrous things and left the wealthy no part. Great and mighty are you, O faithful one. Strong is your justice, strong your love. As you promised to Sarah and Abraham, kindness forevermore. My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you. You have looked with love on your servant here, and blessed me all my life through. Oh, I heard that note, Dick. I was looking at Jay. Jay did good tonight. You cut it off. Dick kept going. Is this going to be a theme every week? We're going to have that one person who just kind of keeps going. I like it. It's fun. You guys are doing great. Our scripture for tonight, or our story for tonight, we're going to be exploring the story of Moses, who has gone up the mountain to meet with God when Moses receives the 10 Commandments from God, and along with the Israelites who are down the mountain. So we will explore that out of various chapters of the book of Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and wait there, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment which I have written for their instruction." Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses went up on the mountain. After 40 days, God finished instructing Moses on Mount Sinai, and God gave him the 2 tablets of the covenant, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. When the people saw that Moses delayed, they gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make gods for us, who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on your ears and bring them to me." So all the people took off the gold rings from their ears. He took the gold from them, formed it in a mold, and cast an image of a calf. And they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." The Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once. Your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt, have acted perversely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them. I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Now let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them. And of you I will make a great nation." But Moses implored the Lord his God and said, "O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Turn from your fierce wrath, change your mind, and do not bring disaster on your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, how you said to them, 'I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and all of this land that I have promised I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord changed his mind about the disaster that he had planned to bring on his people. The word of the Lord. Come on up, Vicki.
So we decided we might go about this a little differently tonight. And are you okay?
I'm just playing around. Go ahead.
One reason is because last week's story brought up some questions that, I don't know, we didn't totally explore, but we both kind of we're back on that wavelength about God being angry and then his judgment. And the question about, is he passing judgment on us today? Am I right? Yeah, okay. So that was a question that came up, and we didn't explore it very much, but
it kind of grabbed both of our attention.
It did, and
that the questions that came from you guys, and the questions that we were kind of thinking about as well, as we zero in on this theme of God having an emotional reaction, seemingly, or what God might call an emotional reaction, tends to make us think of judgment, of what's wrong, and of wrath, if we want to.
Well, because that's how we would react.
Right.
Well, we react with being angry, and the scriptures that we read, our modern day translations particularly, don't use the word anger or being mad, but we interpret that his reaction was so extreme. Good, yeah, it was extreme. That flood was extreme. That it makes us think he had to be pretty mad to do that. So then the question was, is that kind of thing going on today? So do we want to ask them that?
Yeah, we're going to jump right to you guys for questions.
We're going to just hand it right back to you.
Then we'll get into Moses. So questions that are lingering from you, or something that you're wondering about when you think about God having an emotional reaction, God reacting to the state of the world, God. Okay, Ollie, I'm looking at you. You were supposed to have a question. You have one yet? Not yet. All right, you keep working on it. Who else can I pick on? Who are my confirmation kids who are here?
Kids.
And they're all like hunching down now. They're like, no.
They used to be taller.
They did. They did. Okay, they're quiet.
I can't take what I wrote.
I kind of want to play the Jeopardy theme. Do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Are things that are going on in the world, whether it's, pick something, any wars, divisions, floods, earthquakes, hurricanes. Mm-hmm. Are those? Do you think that might be God's judgment, or is that just stuff that happens, or? We tend to put our human feelings into, or one thing, we just want to have a reason for stuff. A lot of times we just need that, and we're not always going to get it. We're not always getting an answer or a reason or a cause.
I wonder if you just stumbled across the key. Is it human nature that we need a reason? Yeah? For those things that we can't explain. Carol, you kind of hit it. Like there's a lot of, the world is a mess.
I would say
We've done it ourselves. And okay, so let's think about the flood. That was God's reaction. perhaps knee-jerk, but that's up to God. That was God's reaction to the state of humanity at that time. Remember, God grieved, and what did you say? God repented?
Yes. Yes. That's what the King James Version says.
Humanity. I messed that one
So
up.
we had to we had to look that word up again.
We did.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of what we talked about last week. Well, and now we've come forward in the story. We've come through Genesis, and the people are now we're into Exodus. So God's people, the descendants of Abraham, the Jewish people, whatever moniker we want to use. So now they have become this culture, and were enslaved, and that lasted for like 400 years, and that was kind of ugly and messy, and they cried out to God for deliverance. And then we have the 10 plagues and the story of Moses and the story of Egypt, and I think we're all fairly familiar with that story. And so now they've come out into the wilderness, and they're wandering in the wilderness. And Sam and Ali and Kennedy and Austin, what do I always say? How long has it been since they just saw the power of God? It's been like 5 seconds. I mean, it's been a couple of months, but it hasn't been real long. And yet God is present, God is with them, and wants to give. I mean, we talked about boundaries last week just a little bit. God wants to give some boundaries, and so we have the law. So Moses, come up the mountain, and Moses traipses up the mountain and is gone for 40 days. The dude's up there for like a month and a half. and yeah, so it's been like 5 minutes. And the people are like, well, we don't know what happened to Moses. We don't know what happened to God. Don't take into account the big fiery mountain that's up there.
Yeah.
So we need a new God. So they make one.
Now this is just not even something to discuss, but did you wonder about Aaron?
Yes.
I mean, can't he stick up for his brother? I mean,
Yeah. How many of us think that Aaron had an epic fail here?
Yeah.
Aaron is the brother of Moses. He's kind of like, you're sort of in charge while I'm up the mountain, dude.
Yeah.
And he's up the mountain. Hey, make us a god. Okay.
Okay.
And so they make this golden calf, and God is aware of what's going on down the mountain. Moses is not. Now, this is the thing that I think is hilarious. So they're literally getting the 10 commandments. And commandment number 1, you shall have no other gods besides me. And down, they're making a new God. And God's like, those people, and this also makes me chuckle. The people that you brought out of, God almost seems to blame Moses. Anybody else notice that? Like, Moses, dude, come on, man.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's cracking me up. I just think this is funny. And I'm going to wipe them out and start over. Now, we sort of hear the same thing that we heard with Noah last week. God said, I'm going to wipe everything out and start over with you. Now God is bringing it down to this one culture. And there's still a ton of people, but they're messing up. I'm going to wipe them all out and start over with you, Moses. And
well,
I'm putting you on the spot.
hang on just a second. I had my train of thought there for a fleeting second. Oh, well, maybe. Okay, what I was thinking wasn't really what you were thinking. But so according to Moses in the book of Exodus, he talks God out of doing that. So it makes me wonder how that really happened. Because Moses was able to put his own spin on the whole thing and say, okay, I talked God out of doing this. And we can say God did change his mind if that's how it came down.
So you should all be really happy that I taught God out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because God was going to wipe it out.
I mean,
yeah. Now, God's mind seems to be changed by Moses' reminder of remember the promises that you made to your people. Remember God. And God remembers, and God relents. And that's good, because otherwise the situation would be dire. But then Moses goes down the mountain, and Moses loses his mind with what he finds, because he was blissfully unaware of how much the Israelites were messing up. Now, you think Moses was second-guessing himself? How so? Say more. God was right. Yes. Now, confirmation students, Moses gets a little bit, shall we say, fiery. Yeah. What does he do? He breaks the commandments. And what else does he break? Takes the golden calf, grinds it into dust, pours it in the water, and makes them drink it. You think God has a temper? Moses, dude, really? Yeah. But now, I was thinking about that earlier. I was kind of joking with a few people. Before everybody else got for dinner, I ate a potato chip, and then I was chatting with some people, and it seized in my throat, and I couldn't talk. And I was like, I wonder if that's what the Israelites felt like when they were drinking that gold dust water. And I don't know if they were or not, but that's a total side note. Good. That has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. So, as we're kind of, I mean, we're joking about this one a lot, and it's an important story. There's some funny aspects to it, but it's also, we see this dire reaction of God, that the people are not living up to these boundaries. I think that's the second time I've said that, isn't it?
Well, that's true, and that's why the time was right, perhaps, for those commandments to be written by the finger of God and brought down to the people.
Yeah. Last week, you asked a question that has really stuck with me of what does God want for us? And we hinted at this last week, too. So the whole purpose of the commandments is to create harmony in our existence with one another, and harmony in our existence with God, which clearly is not going real well yet at this point of the story. And arguably, like we were saying before, still isn't going real spectacular because of the mess that we have made of the world. But has God left us there? What do you think? Did God leave us where we were back in Exodus? Or does God continue inviting us forward?
Absolutely.
Shoot, I'm getting ahead of myself.
The different, perhaps a difference that we discussed was the fact that we're talking both in Noah's time and in Moses' time about groups of people. The people as the Israelites, or as in a whole big group. And I think as we progress through the stories that we're telling throughout Lent, that we can see that change into God developing, or wanting us to develop personal relationships with him, and on that level, rather than as a whole bunch of people together. I don't know if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah. We were, Vicki and I were chatting this morning about this, and the progression that we're going to continue to see in these stories of this ongoing invitation of God forward and forward and forward and forward. And right now, of course, we're in the Old Testament, and we see, now this is our second story in a row of, God is kind of harsh. And we talked a little bit about, not us, but do we collectively, does humanity have this image of what did I call it? Angry, mad God? Angry, mad God. Was it off color? Knowing me, it probably was. There were several words in there. And then we also have this tendency to think then New Testament, loving, happy-go-lucky, joyful God. And yet there is still aspects, I think, of both on both sides. That we've seen evidence of the mercy of God in these Old Testament stories, and we will continue to see that. And there is also a sense that whatever it is that Jesus is up to, it is saving us from something.
Yeah, that just made me think too that maybe this story of Moses, that we shouldn't be thinking of it as, okay, he changed God's mind or he talked him out of something, but it was God's opportunity to show his mercy and his love and his forgiveness toward people.
Okay. Have we reached to be continued?
I'm good.
Okay. We want to open up back to you guys.
Yeah.
Questions? Something you're wondering about. Do, 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 do.
What's the chronology? Did God, and I agree, I don't think he changed his mind. Was that before Moses realized how bad it was?
Yes. Yeah. So Dick asked basically, what's the timeline here? So God is aware of what's going on down the mountain. Moses is not. And so during this 40 days that Moses is up there, essentially the people are like, we don't know what's going on. And for lack of a better word, all hell breaks loose down the mountain. And God's aware. And so that's where this, your people, Moses, are messing up. I'm gonna destroy them, and I'm gonna start back over with you.
Perhaps if Moses would have known how bad it was, he wouldn't have made that argument so strong.
Well, what is it he says? It's not in the. He says there's singing, and he heard the people down, before he got down the mountain, and he heard them carrying on and singing, and he thought they were, it was a joyful kind of thing till he found out, I guess it was joyful enough for them, but
Joyful idolatry.
but not in the right way.
Yeah. Had Moses known, that's a good question. What if Moses would have known? Would Moses have been like, yeah, God, let's do this.
Yeah.
I am pretty awesome. You chose me, and I can climb mountains like the best of them. Let's do this, God. Yeah, and kick Aaron out. I never liked Big Brother anyway. Any other questions before we bring this plane in for a landing? Yeah, Linda. Do I think God is angry now? I think God, I think, now this is just me, I think God grieves the state of things. That's what we heard last week with Noah.
And that's a word they use too.
Right.
In
Yeah.
grieving, yeah.
I think God sees the brokenness of this world. Good but not perfect. We're good but not perfect, and Lord knows we all know that. And I think God grieves it. I don't know if God is angry. Maybe.
He has to hit a boiling point sometime. He's already shown it.
But
You would call your people, nobody should tell me you're not going to get upset. You're not going to hit that boiling point.
But to your point, Rob, has that already happened? I'm asking questions that I don't have answers to. Has the judgment already happened, and Jesus has saved us from it? And I don't know. That is way above my pay grade. I would agree with that. We might be. Yeah. I agree. I think that in Jesus, God has experienced the world as we do, to perhaps better understand it. And maybe the only thing we can say is thank God for Jesus. That's maybe not a good answer, but that's maybe the best answer.
Probably, I think God got to the point where, maybe he was worked up enough again that he said, okay, it's time to do something different, send Jesus, and like you say, figure out why these people are like they are, and live with them, and be with them, and teach them, and
unfortunately not leave us in the state where God finds us.
Yeah. Hope.
Amen.
Give us hope.
Okay. We'll pick it up again next week. So let's see if I can hit one more note, and we'll wrap it up with our final blessing. Let us bless our God. Praise and thanks to you. May God Creator bless us and keep us. Nope, I messed it up again. I was too high this time. You know what? Amen. I don't feel like singing anymore. Amen. Go in peace, serve the Lord.